Hello, I'm back with another Scooby Doo story. I know that this may be a little long and far-fetched as usual. Today, I will be doing the story of the Mystery Incorporated gang and their adventures, so hang on tight and embrace yourselves. Chapter 1 will be called Back in Action. One day, in the clubhouse of Mystery Incorporated, the gang were inside relaxing and settling down. As usual, 22-year-old Daphne has been bored out of her mind recently. It wasn't easy being an adult, having to do things for yourself and watch over those who are like your siblings. Fred was more like the big brother in the gang. But overall, Daphne on the other hand was tired of being the one who was supposed to be the one in danger all the time. Just like Fred was tired of being called Blondie, just like Velma had enough of being clumsy and losing her glasses, Daphne was bored and had nothing to do. Her friends were busy with finishing work, as well as classes that they had. It felt like they had no time for her. Fred noticed Daphne sitting at the table with her head in her hands. He went over to her. He noticed the boys were eating and being selfish with one another. Fred wanted to ask them if they wanted to go out with him to solve another mystery, but knew something big was gonna happen to all of them. But every time he'd asked, Shaggy and Scooby would never say yes. He would ask again, and he would get a negative answer as such. Although, they would go out to eat and that was it. Daphne was alone in this situation. She felt sad and tired. Lonely. Velma noticed Daphne was tired. She told her best friend Velma that she was stressed and didn't want to be forgotten by her friends who treated her with care and loved her like she was their own older sister. After all, she is the lady of the gang. Her friends remembered when they faced the selfish phantom, who turned out to be a coach who wanted to keep his teammates. But it didn't end there when the gang continued to push forward and become inspired to solve more mysteries. One day, Shaggy and Scooby had barbecue outside. It was one of the best food in the world for them since they just loved to eat. I could eat barbecue all day, man. I could eat this all day, dude. No matter what, food is my life. And I guarantee that everything about food is just amazing. I could keep talking about it all I want. Just me and the Scoopster, said a selfish Shaggy, taking a bite out of his sandwich and munching on it. Daph, are you okay? Velma said as she cleared her throat, snapping her out of her daydream. Daphne lied and told her a firm yes. Are you sure you're feeling okay? Velma said with concern while sitting down at the table. Daphne told her friends that she needed space, and that she just wanted to spend time with the only family she got but felt forgotten. Whatever reason it was, she felt lonely. She needed her best friends. She was turning 23 sometime in August, but felt like no one bothered to be there for her. Fred sat next to her, holding her head close to his chest, embracing her. He couldn't stand seeing her this unhappy. She thought to herself, wondering why she went days with shopping with her 4 older sisters. He could see it in his eyes that she was about to cry. Fred let it all out and told her that he wished that they could be together, and that he didn't mean to be selfish over the van. He was just being self-centered, and that he loved his friends like they were his own family. The rest of the gang understood and went over to them. He was forgiven by Daphne and the others. Fred continued hugging her. Shaggy said, "Oh no 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 no. Do not feel insecure, Daph. You were just busy and wanted time with your sisters. I understand that." Daphne felt better. Meanwhile, Fred got up to tie his ascot. "Thanks guys. I knew I could count on you, especially Scooby Doo. It's my birthday, and I don't want to feel alone this August," Daphne said, smiling at her friends. The gang got inside of the mystery machine and drove off to have some fun. It was Daphne's birthday, and everyone enjoyed themselves, especially Shaggy and Scooby, who are the masters of eating. Fred always wondered who he was as a child as he drove. He began thinking of his father while driving in the night. He felt like he had to grow up fast at the age of 7. When he was a boy, he and his father were coming home in their car, and he got into a car wreck. His father was killed, but Freddie himself survived. The small boy ran into the forest hiding. He was only 7 and felt alone. He cried and was upset and full of guilt. The mayor of the town noticed the small blonde boy and went to comfort him. The mayor told him that he will be adopting him, and that his father was killed. Fred believed him, and grew up. The only thing Fred had brought with him to remember his dad was his football helmet. Fred is the self-styled leader of Mystery Incorporated. He always has a plan, even if they don't always work. If you want to learn more about the kind-hearted who put up the wall all of his life to grieve and protect his friends, what he doesn't know is that his father, the mayor, had been hiding something from him. Ever since 2 days after the crash, Fred didn't let his father's passing hurt him. He told the gang that his father was a blonde, and just like him. He was ready to do anything. He was a football player, as well, who always stole the game away. He couldn't believe that he lost his father on the same night as the game was ending. It was football season. His father and him both loved football, and whenever he couldn't come to the game, whether that he was sick or worked late, they would both watch it on TV. But now that he was gone, Fred lost it and hid his grief inside. He tried to hide his bitter feelings, as well as the cold feelings that he held inside for the driver that crashed into his dad. Even though he still had love for football, he couldn't throw it away. It was the only thing he had to remember his dad. Today was going to be a different day, and no matter how much he tried to have a better day, he felt like he was becoming more strict and stricter with the gang. "Hey guys, my dad's offering us for dinner tonight," Fred said with a fake smile as he turned to go to Daphne and the others at the table. "Oh my god, dinner, here we come," Shaggy said excitingly, jumping in the mystery machine. He was followed by a wahoo from Scooby, who was having Scooby snacks. The gang drove out of town and into the city. The mayor greeted his adoptive blonde son with pleasure, as well as his friends, who entered inside to head into the dining table. Fred wanted to boil out his anger and frustration. The man who he was sitting with was his adoptive father. Unlike him, he did not like football and meant business, but deep down he had a soft spot for Fred. "Did you kill my father?" The mayor turned to Fred, who was sitting next to him. "Now what in God's name made you say that, Frederick?" Fred hated being called Frederick, despite the fact he liked going by Fred when he was younger by his actual father. He was now 22 years old, and had friends who enjoyed his company. Fred replied saying, "It was a question, can you answer it?" Fred said angrily, storming out the room. Shaggy followed after, turning him around. "Whatever is going on, tell us. You have nothing to hide from us. We are your best friend in the whole world. We were wondering if we could go to the circus nearby, so clean yourself up, and we could go," said Shaggy as he was going to Scooby and the others. Fred washed his face in the bathroom and sobbed. He had enough. He took the gang to the circus nearby to take things off their minds. There, they met an old enemy. Chapter 2. Toilers Revenge. Fred could recall the memories of Tim Toiler's childish antics, and the fact that he called him and Daphne children. He was one of those everyday masked villains or mechanical beast. Fred remembered the time Tim's voice had dampened with shame and the guilt of being caught. Not that he hurt so many innocent people. The gang were investigating since it seemed quiet and a shut-out place. A man was in the shadows. He wore a purple top hat and was more visually like Willy Wonka, but clothed in childlike style as Daphne. And Fred remembered, rats ran along the corridors. Shaggy had to hold in his screams to make sure that those rats weren't Tim's. But no, they were. That man who terrified the children for going on the rides and not playing with his toys, and his creating bad toys, is back for revenge. And if he doesn't get what he wants today, he will get it. All he had to do was to put on a simple Mr. Nice Guy act and lure them in. But the gang weren't going to let him off that easy. "Did you children missed me? I spent some time in jail, but not to worry, I'm a changed man now," said Tim Toiler as he welcomed the gang down the corridors with a sinister smile. Fred knew something was up with this man. Shaggy asked, "What do you want?" Tim turned to the gang and said, "Oh, come on now. If you can make a computer that runs on batteries, then surely you can make one that runs off your emotions," said a cackling Tim as his winded-up toy rat that Tim created came up on his back. "Oh, mystery brats," annoyed by the winded-up rat, while he tipped his hat. "How are you doing after a long time? Ha, did you miss me? Admit it. You missed me," said an excited, childish Tim, circling Daphne and twirling her in his arms. "Just don't touch me, Tim. Please," Daphne cried, trying to get him off. "Oh, come on. You know I wouldn't hurt you. After all, you're just a human." Back then in the old days, Tim Toiler created the evil toy and toy robotus to ruin Toyland, because he was jealous that it would take all the attention away from his toys. He hatched a plan to lure the gang and trick them that he changed. He was going to be a manipulative stranger to drag them back in, making them be his friends so he could get his job back. First, he headed off to Toyland. The security guard who was patrolling the streets at night ordered him to not enter, but he entered anyways despite the security guard not stopping him. Besides, Tim was taller. Mr. Smithers and the young boy Numbers, old friends who the gang met, explained to Scooby and his friends that Tim has fled to the toy land to create more evil toys. He still referred to them as children to this day. "Hey, you're not going to hurt anyone. Do you hear me, Tim?" Tim didn't care if he lost his fame again. All he cared about was manipulating the gang. "Well, the Toyman's back in business, so who's gonna help me? Huh? No one. Aw, how sad. None of the kitty cats here want to help. Velma spoke up and said, "Okay, Mr. Toiler, why on earth would we help you? After what you've did to the kids, after everything you've done, you want our help? You violated everything. There's no way in the world you're gonna get this job back. You'll never get our help." Tim was heated now. He stopped playing pretend. He thought of his ex-wife who had 3 kids with Tim, but took them to a different state because of his terrible crimes. Daphne eventually got free and ran behind Shaggy. Tim replied again, "Well then, perhaps you should investigate my past. I was born here. The neighborhood isn't far. I was brought up by my uncle, Jonathan Toiler. He taught me everything there was to know about science and engineering. He trained me to become a brilliant engineer. I became the greatest inventor in the world. The best in." Tim began laughing hard like an evil maniac. Daphne growled with her hands on her hips. "No one asked. You are a control freak. No matter what you've done, you would never train yourself to be nice. You will never change," said Velma while staring at the tall toymaker. Tim spoke again, staring at the gang still. "What are you saying? It's true that I've always been an arrogant brat, but it wasn't until recently that I realized that everyone around me was afraid of me. I had forgotten that they cared about me, so I decided to change myself. I wanted to be someone who was loved. So it worked." Fred yelled and said, "Stop trying to convince us. You will always be a control freak, you selfish clown." Tim was angry. "What did you say?" Daphne mocked him and said, "You heard me. Are you deaf?" Tim replied back, saying, "You're not even worth listening to. Oh, you children think you're awfully bold now? Now that you are adults, you think you can run your mystery show? Let me get this straight. I don't understand why you came all this way. How did you know I got out of jail, Blondie? I could have just escaped." Fred hated being called Blondie, despite that it was an old enemy calling him that. "Tim, don't call me that. Ever." Tim mocked Fred's anger. He loved to feast on people's fears. Daphne yelled back and said, "Enough is enough, Tim." She slapped him in the face. The wind-up mice lunged at Shaggy and Scooby, attacking them who were screaming. "Zoinks! He's a crazy mad man," said Shaggy while struggling to get the wind-up toy mouse off. "Please don't hurt me, please don't," said Tim as he was mocking Shaggy and Scooby's screams. Tim supported fear and terror. When he heard the sound people screaming, he laughed until he cried. Scooby grabbed onto his pants so he wouldn't disappear out of sight. Tim growled angrily, "Stupid dog." He kicked Scooby off. Tim had enough of playing nice. The wind picked up, and he turned 7 foot. Devil size? Tim had glowing purple eyes and looked menacing. His face looked like a clown's, jigsaw-like. He grew 80 arms and grabbed Daphne. She screamed as loud as she could. However, Fred didn't hear her. It wasn't long till Shaggy and Scooby realized that their friend was in a trance, glowing eyes and standing still. "Have another killer clown." Clowns appeared and attacked Velma and Shaggy and Scooby, but they didn't back down. Fighting back, the sky became dark and chilly. Scooby lunged at Tim's nose, and he dropped Daphne, who fell in Shaggy's arms. Dumping holy water on Fred, he snapped out of it. Now the gang were together. Shaggy and Scooby got in the mystery machine. Shaggy started driving, and he swerved on the road, running towards the 7-foot clown demon Tim. Together, the gang found themselves in front of a giant 7-foot crazy clown toyman. Well, former man who's out for revenge. Shaggy drove really fast, but no matter how they tried, Tim became even more relentless. "Why bother? No one's gonna listen. You're just cute, but the ugly kind nevertheless. You're all stupid children, always solving your foolish mysteries. So if no one will believe then me, then this company will erupt. Say goodbye, children." The thunder rolled, and the storm picked up. The sky became purple as well as the lightning. "Say goodbye to Timmy. You are fools, and a disgrace to your families. They'll all turn you away. Why won't you be like me? I'll make you into something. I'll give you business. I'll give you anything. Your own company, home." Then, the wind became stronger and surrounded Tim as the gang just watched Tim reach his demise. Tim disappeared and never was seen or heard again. Toyland's amusement fell and was never built again. People never went back there again. It was guarded by fences and warning signs. The gang returned back home. The mayor was there, and he pulled Fred aside. It was revealed that the black wig that he was wearing turned out to be fake hair to hide his blonde hair. The gang were shocked to find out the mayor was actually his father in disguise to protect him and the citizens from framing his family in the future. Sounds confusing. His dad went into a 3-day coma and returned home naming himself the mayor. If that's not enough, he retired from football thinking it was too much for him. This story was fan-made, not real. None of any of this happened in Mystery Incorporated, but if it did, I guarantee I would watch it and I would love it because I am a Scooby Doo fan. Please do not come on here and hating any of my content. If you do not like Scooby Doo, turn away and slam the doors. LOL, have a great day, bye. Thank you for reading. If you want more Scooby Doo stories, I'd be happy to. Maybe another story where the gang run into a ghostly Tim Toiler. Yep, he got what he deserved and died because the black magic and his jealousy turned against him and killed him. This is why you don't let jealousy get the better of you and consume you. Fred, on the other hand, is reunited with his father who he thought had lost all those years. Daphne and the others are back on the road with Shaggy and Scooby eating while solving mysteries. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. Be strong, guys. You're cool. Bye bye.